As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It's my retro gaming podcast where every single week a buddy of mine and I sit down and geek out about games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you guys so much for listening. This week it's episode 66. We are staying on the Sega train for one more week. 2 weeks ago we talked Shinobi 3. Last week we gave, I alone gave a review of the Sega Genesis Mini, which I'll get to in a second. And this week we are talking about I don't know, if it's not considered the best Sega Genesis game, then it's fucking right there. It's on all the lists. It's a top 5, and that is Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which debuted Tails, who is Sega's Yoshi. He sucks, but we'll get more into that in a minute. Listen, you guys, you know I'm not a Sega kid. If you're new to the podcast, maybe you don't, but guess what? I'm not a Sega kid. I did not grow up with one of these things. I'm trying so hard to do your games justice and give them the respect and love they deserve. I tried really hard this week. My pal Miklos is here. He's a Sega kid. We fucked some stuff up. I looked it up during the podcast. We fix it. So listen, if you're listening and something I say in this episode isn't accurate, before you yell at me, get through the whole episode. And then if you want to yell at me, fucking yell away. That's just fine. So, I'm going to ramble for a few minutes first. I don't always mention this, but if you're not interested in listening to my inane garbage mumbling for the first 10, 12 minutes of the episode, check the description below in the podcast apps or wherever the fuck it is you're listening. I've been trying to put a timestamp there, so you'll see what time the actual game chat starts if you just want to skip over this. So I'm in a good mood today, man. It's October 1st as I record this. It's the best time of year, I think. I like summer too, but the fall is the best. It starts to get nice and cool and everything looks nice. It smells good. It's Thanksgiving, at least here in Canada. It's Thanksgiving in a week and a half. It's Halloween is coming up. There's tons of video games. It's a huge sports, I'm a sports junkie. Less so now that I'm a comedian because I'm never home at night to watch the games, but I still follow sports. And hockey starts up right away. Football's in full swing. I'm 4-0 in fantasy football for anyone that cares, which is zero of you. Baseball is going into the playoffs right now. Go Rays. Hopefully by the time this hits your guys' ear holes tomorrow night, the Rays have won the wild card game and they are on their way to the World Series. and basketball starting soon, which is like, but whatever. I don't know. I'm just in a good mood. Feeling good. Let's fucking do a podcast. Let's talk. For all of you that gave me positive reviews on the Sega Genesis Mini review, and I got quite a few of those. Thank you. If you haven't listened to it yet, check it out. That was last week's episode, number 65. I went solo for the first time in 65 episodes and just gave a full-out review of the Sega Genesis Mini through the eyes of a Nintendo kid. And I got a lot of good feedback. So for any of you that enjoyed that episode, thanks a lot. Maybe I convinced a couple of you to buy one of those things. Sega's not going to give me any money for that, but they should. Dude, if somebody from Sega ever listened to this podcast and heard all the shit I've talked about them over the last year and a half, I'd be done. But anyway, thanks for the good reviews. A couple of people, specifically Todd and John, both pointed out to me that it's the Mega Drive, and apparently it was the Mega Drive in some places. I know at one point, I don't know the exact history. You guys know how this podcast works. I try not to do a ton of homework. It's more based on nostalgia. I don't know when it went from the Mega Drive to the Sega Genesis. If I'm not mistaken, at least here in North America, it was originally the Mega Drive, and then they made it the Genesis to try to make it sound cooler. I don't know, so don't fucking yell at me if I'm wrong. I hate that name. I hate the name the Mega Drive. It just sounds so lame and stupid. Just Genesis sounds cool, which I know is what they were going for, and the logo for Genesis is cool. Mega Drive just sounds like a crappy computer or something. So no, it's the Sega Genesis. So thanks you guys for the good feedback. Also, I wanted to do the shout outs for all my Patreons this month. But as I record this, it's like noon on Wednesday, October 1st, or Tuesday, October 1st, and not all of the Patreon pledges have gone through yet. So I'll give you guys your shout outs on next week's episode. But thank you all so much. And here comes the Patreon plug. If you haven't signed up yet and you're considering it, please consider it. All I'm asking for is $2 a month. You're going to get a shout out on the show. We give away a gift card, which by the way, I will be doing the draw for in the next few days. That's worth 20%. We give away, it's $5 for every $20. It's $5. I've had a lot of coffee. It's $5 for every $20 our podcast makes on Patreon. So this month we made $87, so it's going to be another $20 gift card. So we're always giving shit away, and you get extra episodes of the podcast. And speaking of that, your first episode for October will be coming out on October 14th. That's the second Monday of the month, and Mark McHugh and I will be doing a full-out review. Excuse me, good podcast and burping. And this is why I don't do it right after lunch. A full-out review of the Link's Awakening remake on the Switch, and I think it's going to be a good episode, so check it out. Please, patreon.com/rememberthegame. Please just consider it. And also, if you're new to the show and you're liking it, please leave us a good review somewhere. I don't know what they accomplished, but I always ask for them. And you can follow us. Twitter and Instagram, we're at memberthegame. And then it's facebook.com/rememberthegame and youtube.com/rememberthegame. I always follow back. I try to interact with everybody. So if you want to say hi, say hey, tell me the show sucks, whatever, do it. Speaking of social media, I ran a poll last week asking if you guys were interested in some PS3 and Xbox 360 games reviews on the show. And I literally, it's almost dead even on all platforms. Like across the board, it's pretty close. So the odd one is going to sneak in. Admittedly, I've got one recorded right now, and I'll try to stick more retro for the next, getting up closer to episode 100, and then I will probably start getting into those games, because like my pal Jason pointed it out, and it's something I've been thinking too. Like, are they retro yet? The PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii generation. I know the Wii is 2 generations ago, and then there's like the Wii U. R.A.P. You poor bastard. And I know that that's still only technically a generation back, but like the PS5 and the Xbox Q or whatever the fuck they're gonna call it are right around the corner. Right? And I mean, the Switch is 2 generations after the Wii with the Wii U in the middle. So I feel like they're getting, I don't know, like, are they, like, I've always considered retro the GameCube, Xbox, PS2 back. But like, once those are 2 or 3 generations old, are they not retro too? I don't know. So anyway, I will be talking some of those games, but I'll try to hold off a little bit longer. I'll stick to just the old stuff. There's still a lot of great games out there. Oh yeah, and I meant to bring this up too. Listen, if you're listening to this, or if you know someone that might be interested, I don't care where on the planet you are. If you are a business owner or something, if you have a public building or room or establishment, that's the word I'm looking for, that people visit, and you would be interested and willing to put our business cards out to just give away. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to push them on anyone. Literally just leave a stack of them on the counter there for people to take. Please reach out to me. Again, either on, Twitter or Instagram at memberthegame or facebook.com/rememberthegame. I'll send you some cards. I'm more than happy to give you a shout out on the show, plug your business on social media. I am going to be hitting up some places here in Edmonton and trying to give out some cards, but I'd love to distribute them around the world. So just, if you're listening, if you want a free shout out, you're welcome to it. We're getting thousands of downloads now a week. I'm getting, 3,000-4,000 downloads a month, give or take, depending on the popularity of the current episode. People are discovering episodes all the time. I'm happy to give shout outs if anyone's willing to put our cards out. So that would be really, really cool. I'm not buying any new games. I mentioned it last week. I'm trying to hold off, but this month there's so much coming out and but I'm trying to save some money. The holidays are coming up. It's the busiest time of the year for a stand-up comedian, which, as you probably know, is what I attempt to do by night. And so I don't have a ton of time to play, and the stuff I do play, I'm trying to take on my Switch because I can take it on the road with me because I'm on the road a lot over the next couple of months. But I'm probably going to... the Ghostbusters game is coming out. Fucking Overwatch, Witcher 3, Luigi's Mansion. There's just too many fucking games. But I am trying to just stick to retro right now. And actually, I'm done rambling for the week. I know it's a little shorter than normal, but I'm rambled out. I wanted to get into what I've been playing and then lead it into this week's episode. So as far as what I have been playing, it's been all retro stuff. I mean, I did finish the Link's Awakening remake a few days ago. Very close to 100%ed it. Fucking, I'm not going to say anything about it. You got to pay. I hate to be that guy, but if you want to know my full thoughts on it, it's $2. I already plugged it. I won't do it again, but we will be doing a review of that in a couple weeks. But I just finished it. And so after that, I'm trying to stick to just old school stuff. I've been playing with this Sega Genesis Mini that I'm pointing at, that none of you can see what I'm pointing at right now. A lot of Sonic 2, which we're talking about today. I've also been playing a little bit of Echo Dolphin. I've been playing a little bit with Gunstar Heroes, a little bit of Toe Jam and Earl. There's some Earthworm Jim, the Mega Man Wily Wars. I forget your name. I had mentioned last on the review episode that I was disappointed a little bit in the Mega Man Wily Wars because it just came across as a Mario All-Stars retread of Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. And somebody reached out to me, and I'm so sorry, I forget your name, dude. I don't have my computer in front of me to look it up. Reached out to me and said, yo, play them because you'll get there's some extra bosses they designed specifically for that game. So I've started more into that. I've also been playing Phantasy Star 4, not on the Sega Genesis Mini, although it's on there. I'm playing it on my Sega Classic Collection on my Switch, just because I feel like it's the more perfect, ideal thing for handheld, or for RPGs, is that Switch handheld. You can put it to sleep anytime you want. I've got some mixed feelings on it, but I'm trying really hard. Everyone I've talked to that likes Sega and likes RPGs is plugging the shit out of Phantasy Star 4 and being like, yo, it's the Sega version of Final Fantasy 6 and Chrono Trigger and this and that. So I'm not going to give you my full opinion on it yet. I'm trying. I'm giving it an honest thought. We are going to do an episode of this show on Phantasy Star 4 at some point. I just have to play through it first, but I'm working on it. And then also just a day or two ago, while I was watching wrestling, I fell into Yoshi's Island on the SNES Online, and now I'm 2 worlds into that, 100% and running it, and it's so good. So good. So that's what I've been playing. Sonic 2 and a bunch of Sega games, Phantasy Star 4, and Yoshi's Island. Retro, baby, because I'm dedicated to this podcast. And speaking of games that I've been playing, let's talk about the game that we're talking about this week. Let's talk about the game we're talking about this week. We're talking Sonic the Hedgehog 2. As I mentioned, I'm trying really hard to show Sega some love, okay? And I know this is one of the games that everybody that had a Sega loves, or at least most do. And then this is one of the few I did play a little bit as a kid. So I've been playing a lot of it. Admittedly, not spamming the save states, but I've been using save states. And quite frankly, I've been talking to some people about this. I know that some people consider it basically cheating, you know what I mean? Us purists, we're retro gamers. I tweeted it the other day that one of the things that frustrates me about being a retro gamer, or about playing retro games, is that I just don't have the patience to die and then start over and go back through the 2 hours or whatever the fuck it was that I was doing. And it's nice to have those save states. Just I don't have that kind of time. Most of these games are a couple hours long. Super Mario World is to 100% Super Mario World. It's 3 hours or 4 hours or something. Donkey Kong Country is a 3-hour game. Sonic 2 is an hour if you're good, which I'm not. So it's been a lot more than that. But like when you die and have to start over, that's tax on that replay value, right? And I just don't have that kind of fucking patience. So I have been using some save states, but I'm having fun with it. And you're going to find out more about my opinions of it during this podcast. Like I said, I fucked some stuff up during it. We looked it up. I'm sorry. I think I addressed everything I fucked up before the end of the podcast, but if you've got issues, just listen to the end before you fucking yell at me. And expect more Sega love in the coming months, because I'm trying really hard to show you guys some love. And this Sega Genesis Mini's really turned me around. I was like, I'm trying to figure out how to word it, but like, I almost feel like I was on the other side of like this like ancient like family feud or like war, and now it's over and I'm just trying to move on and be like, no, you guys we're cool now. You know what I mean? And that's how I really, because I grew up hating Sega and now Sega's fine. Somebody that didn't grow up hating Sega, though, is my guest this week, and that is my pal Miklos. You guys may know him from the Shinobi 3 episode from a couple weeks ago, or the Shining Force episode we did before, the Nintendo versus Sega. He was a Sega kid. We did Nintendo versus Sega, and today we're talking Sonic 2. I'm going to cue the music. There it is. You guys, Sonic 2 originally released on November 21st, 1992. When you Google the lists of the best Sega Genesis games of all time, it is always right there. I enjoyed it. I'm going to tell you what I like and don't like about it with my pal Miklos right now. Enjoy the episode, you guys. Here we go. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home, and they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. Okay, buddy. So first of all, thanks for spending part of your one of the last nice Saturdays, probably of the year, sitting in my spare bedroom talking video games with me. That's pretty nice of you.
No problem.
And joining me again this week, as I would have said in the intro like 100 times, is my buddy Miklos. And you may remember Miklos from previous Sega. You're like the go-to Sega guest. I know. Like, I mean, we did Shining Force.
Yeah.
We did the Sega versus Nintendo.
Shinobi
3, which just came out like this will be 2 weeks ago by the time this one goes live. You're like, when I want to play a Sonic game, a Sega game, I always message you. I'm like, hey, what should I play now? Because you were the Sega weirdo.
Have you got to Toe Jam and Earl yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Working through it though. So by the time this episode goes live, I'll have already posted my next week, which will be dude, it's like a time jump. Last week's episode will be a review of the Sega Genesis Classic, and so this week we're talking about. I don't know. Is it the best game on on all the best Sega game lists I look up? This one's like number 1 or number 2.
It's for what it did, especially for the Genesis. Yeah, I would say that it's an all around just awesome game. Like,
yeah.
The concept was kind of never done before. Just like like I said, like action running, but also exploration.
Yeah, and like so, as I will have already said, we're talking Sonic 2, And yeah, like I mean, this game I guess is like because I know Sonic 3 and the Sonic and Knuckles lock on came on after this, which we've talked about in the archives. You guys go look for those in the archives. But it's one of those ones like it's funny because like when you talk about the Mario games, like most people consider Mario 3 to be the best of the 3 Nintendo Mario games, like of the NES Mario games. But when we talk about the Sega Sonic games, most people go to Sonic 2.
Yeah, the game. It was I can't see how they could have improved on it.
Right.
Right? Like, sure, bringing in Knuckles later on and, like, kind of expanding the family of characters was cool.
Right.
But, like, nothing felt like playing this game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like, to me, Sonic 3, like, and okay, listen, like, as I will have probably said on last week's episode where I reviewed the Sega, like, I've buried the hatchet with Sega. Like, I have thoroughly enjoyed this thing. I'm like, we're not enemies anymore. I'm like, I like Sega. They're fine. Like, I'm not going to make fun of them as much anymore. As much. But having said that, like, everyone knows that, like, one of Sega's big mistakes was, like, with the Sega Genesis, that thing turned into a fucking Frankenstein by the time you added all the shit onto it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Sonic 2 was the Sega Genesis, and then Sonic 3 and the Sonic and Knuckles lock-on pack were that equivalent to the Sonic games. Like they just tried to, it feels like they tried to do too much and pack too much in.
Personally, I loved Sonic and Knuckles just because you could come back to Sonic 2
right.
and then play as Knuckles.
Right. Like the concept was dope. Like I'm not angry.
It was almost Game Genie-esque.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Like I'm looking forward to someone eventually hacking the Sega Genesis Classic so that I can play Sonic 2 as Knuckles. Because you're right. Like Sonic 1 was cool, but it was just run left to right real fast and win. Yeah. Whereas Sonic 2, like, and we'll get into fucking Tails in a minute because I have some opinions on that little fucking. But it's like the exploration, dude. Like it's like I have some criticisms of this game we'll get into, but I can't get over how many secrets and like
there's
hidden
everything
rooms
everywhere,
and
right? And like you always try to like stay as up as you can. That's how because like you go up, you find all these cool secrets. The further down in a level you get, it seems to be just way harder all the time, right? Like you're like almost like it's from like those Infinity Renner games that you can get.
Yeah.
Right? It's like this is like the precursor to all of that. Right? Like run as fast and as high as you can, and then like just try to keep up as much speed almost like, and then out of nowhere spikes.
Oh fuck yes, because you're totally right on this staying up because like there's more stuff up there I think. Plus if you fall, at least you could like fall into a new secret. You know what I mean? Like there's like it feels like for most of the levels there's like 2 or 3 layers. You could always fall into like that middle layer and then the bottom layer, and you're not gonna fall off the screen until you go through the bottom. Yeah, because there are holes and stuff, but there's not a ton of them. Yeah. I mean, there's some where you like fall in the water. Oh yeah, and that's my first criticism is why the fuck is water in a Sonic game? It's so frustrating to me. Like water levels suck in all platformers. I think most people like. I don't like swimming levels in Mario. I think Donkey Kong probably does them the best, but I hate them. They're slow and they're boring. But the Sonic ones, dude, what world is it? Is it the third world in this game where you're in like ancient ruins or something? Yeah. And I get so frustrated when I get stuck in the water because I'm like the whole gimmick of Sonic is like fast, and then it's now I can't go super fast and I got to keep looking for stupid bubbles and just.
Well, I think that like it adds to like the like he's chasing Robotnik through all these places, right? Mm-hmm. So if he's trying to chase him, Robotnik's not going to be like, well, I'm just going to stay to city streets.
Yeah, I get
Where
it.
you can go as fast as you want and catch me.
I don't know. To me, it came across, like I hated that world. It came across as like a...
it was a hard level. Man.
Oh, so hard. And it was like, I kept fucking running out of air and like, which I actually like. I will say that.
But that's one of those levels too where you always want to kind of stay up, right? The more you stay up, the more like you're playing to Sonic strengths, right? So like without getting too far, when you get the Super Sonic later on in the game, right? Like it just kind of makes you fly, right? You're like, because it's going so fast, right?
Okay, I'm gonna put a pin in that because I don't know this game that well. That's part of the reason I was excited to have you out here because I was like, you'll fix it for me because I haven't gotten anything like Super Sonic. I like it. I like when he's running really fast. I almost get frustrated at times when it slows real down because I'm like, honestly, this game doesn't handle well enough to be a slow, precise platformer.
Yeah.
Like Sonic just doesn't. Even when he's above water, like when he's going slow and then you try to jump over a hole or something and he has no momentum, it feels like he's very floaty, but then it's like he's not moving forward at all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've hit spikes that I know are there just because I have no momentum when I come up to them, and then when I jump, I don't go far enough to get over the fucking spikes. And
well, I think that's also why they kind of introduced that like that spin dash.
The spin dash is
right. So you could do that, and you could jump.
Because that wasn't in the first one.
No,
right?
It was not.
Okay, because that's dude. So many times, especially in the first world or two, where you come up to like the loop de loops and stuff, and you have no momentum.
Yeah.
You just do that duck and just like charge it up, let them go.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, dude. This has always been my thing with Sonic. Is it's like he's at his coolest when he's going really fast.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I almost feel when he gets going too fast in some areas, it almost becomes like an autoplay level on Mario Maker, where you don't even have to do anything for like a minute. You know what I mean? You just watch him ripping around.
Yeah. Some of it's like, I mean, I'm sure it was designed to be visually appealing.
No question.
With all the loop-de-loops.
No question.
And like even in like some of the city levels where like you do the tubes.
Yeah, I'm in those ones right now.
And then you get like you get like shot through areas and stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's absolutely, and to its credit, like hats off, like it's gorgeous. Like Sega deserves, for all the shitting I do on Sega and stuff like that, like they deserve a ton of like playing this game. And this game is like, I'm just looking up right now. This game came out in 1992.
Yeah.
So this game is almost 30 years old, and it looks like if they release this game today, people would be like, it looks phenomenal. It looks like a cartoon.
For the PS4, they have a Sonic. It was like a fan made game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my buddy has it, and
is it Sonic Mania?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it's on Switch. I haven't played it, but I know it's out.
Awesome.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, it's better than Sonic 2.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. And like they changed a lot of the game mechanics in it, and they added a bunch of really neat features.
That's cool.
And then the levels, like you get like the same feel like the Green Hill Zone. They start off in like that, but then they like really jazz up a lot of everything else. So
that's crazy, because I still feel like honestly, the favorite world that I've played so far is the casino one.
Okay.
Because I think it looks cool and I like the music and stuff. But like when I think of Sonic, I think of the Emerald Hill, like that first world. Like it's just with that green background and the brown. Like I don't know if they're made of dirt or wood or whatever, but like the loops and stuff, and then Blue Sonic, like they're, to me, like this is as good as 16-bit pixel art gaming looks in these games. And I'll give it, like, they look better than Mario. They look so much better than Super Mario World does. And I adore that game, right? But this game looks better.
The color palette, like
it's so bright.
Yeah.
Like I love it. Like even, and that's one of the things I actually really adore about Knuckles is I really feel like that bright red plays perfectly. Like Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, the three of them and their 16-bit glory just standing together look great.
Yeah.
The blue, the like yellow, brown, and then the red. Like the three of them just look fucking perfect together. It's just,
and they stand out from pretty much everything else in the game.
Oh yeah. Right. Like Tails, I think at times can kind of blend in a little bit, but Sonic, like you never not know where Sonic is. You know, even the water. Like I noticed that they made the water more of like a purple. Yeah. Just so that there's no way you can lose Sonic in it. Yeah. You know. And I actually really do like the fact that you can run out of breath. Like that's always bugged me in Mario games and stuff. That, like other than like Mario 64
forever.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? This guy can already jump over mountains, and now he can swim forever and never worry about his breath. The only thing is just like and again, this is one of the things that irritates me a little bit about Sonic is I don't like it when it goes slow. Yeah. And when you're underwater, not only is it going slow, which I can live with. In the sense, like you said, okay, well, Robotnik knows that's his weakness, so put it, okay.
Go through some shit to make it harder for him.
Right. But when you got to look for the bubbles to get your air back, I'm like, I feel like I'm crawling. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, where's the bubble? Where's the bubble? And then I got to stop and like stand near the bubble. And
you got to wait for the big one to come out.
Right. Yeah.
And I can't just have any of the little ones. You got to get one of the big ones.
And I really like the mechanic. Of running out of breath, and I love the way the music kicks in as it counts down that 5, 4, 3, 2, like that urgency that sets in, and then as soon as you catch some air, it's just like, and then the music just goes back to normal. Like I like that. I just would have preferred it if there were literally just big bubbles, like around, like rings, like just floating there that you could touch to get your breath back. Do you know what I mean?
Like, Well, they also what was neat about the bubbles is it kind of like stopped Sonic too.
Yeah.
Right. So like. sometimes you'd be going through one of those levels and you'd run into a bubble and you like lose all your speed.
Yeah. It just completely stops him again. So I don't know. So as irritated as some of that stuff makes me, like when he's above ground, the game is at its best and it shines. And that's one of the things I like the most about the Emerald Hill Zone is that's what it's called, right? Emerald Hill Zone is like you're just ripping around. You can explore. Like I could literally spend half an hour in those first 2 worlds just looking for all the like. I guess they're TVs with like the power ups in them. Like
it's like boxes.
Yeah. Has anyone ever established like what they are? They look like old TVs.
They look like old TVs. Yeah, for sure.
But like with the rings or else like with the like shield or like the invincibility and stuff. Like, and I love just exploring and looking for that stuff like that, you know? And I'll give Sonic credit too. Like I'm very pro the ring mechanic. Yeah. Like as you can collect as many as you want. And when you get hit, I love. Well, it frustrates me when you've got a ton and then you get hit and they all fly everywhere. Yeah. But I like the idea that as long as you can keep getting a ring, you won't die. Yeah. You know, and that's clever. You know, I think that's. And in a game that goes this fast, I think if it was more like Mario, where it was just like you get hit once and you're dead, people would be like, "This is fucking stupid." Yeah. Like I think that ring mechanic is a necessary.
And like the more rings you have too, they kind of like they shoot out farther.
Yeah.
Right? And so like the idea that like you could get hit, lose your ring, pick it up, but if you have a lot, it's almost impossible to get all your rings back.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you're up there like 100 plus, then you're like, oh man, how do I get all these rings back?
Yeah.
No, you gotta like.
And you will lose a bunch of them. But at the same time, the cool thing about having a whole bunch of rings is that when you get hit, you're almost you're going to get some back. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whereas you only have one. You're like, fuck. Like, especially like when you're fighting Robotnik or something. Yeah. And you get hit and you're
and then it like goes the opposite way.
You're like,
no, I gotta go through Robotnik to get it.
And for the record, like how do you feel about the name Eggman? Like I despise that. Like it's Robotnik.
I've always known it as Robotnik.
Right.
Maybe I don't understand what this Eggman thing is. No. Is that his first name or
like
he is egg shaped. So.
He's very But like it's like because I guess technically like Bowser was King Koopa. Yeah. And then became Bowser, but I'm like, well, Bowser's better. Yeah. Whereas like I hate the name Eggman. I'm like, you literally just named him what he looks like. Like
I've always called him Robotnik.
Me too.
He will always be Robotnik. Him and his crazy chicken legs.
Yeah. I love Robotnik, man. Like I think he's a great villain. Like he's a great. Okay, and I meant to ask you that too. Like, because I don't know if you know the story or not, but like. Because like when you kill bad guys in this game, the robots, like little animals, run away. Yeah. So he's turning the animals into these robots, right? Yeah. So that's what happens when you beat a world. You release all the animals that are in his making robot machine. Yeah. Man, he's a piece of shit. Like
this is like the environmentalist game like so long ago.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a good villain. Like I like that a lot actually.
A lot of his like your boss fights with him too are real interesting.
Yeah,
right? Like his they have all of these different mechanics. Like some of them are like they have like things that are swinging at you but also shooting at you. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of like trying to figure out what the pattern is, and then like where you can hit him because it's not always the same.
Yeah. Right? That's fuck yeah. Because I hate the like. I don't mean to keep comparing this to Mario, but like they're just this is Sega's fault. Sega's the one that was like, hey, this is better than Mario. Yeah. Like they're always going to be compared. Yeah. And that's another thing that this game does better. Like, I mean, the Mario games, you jump on the bad guy 3 times and then he's dead, right? Like with all the Koopa kids, that's all it is. Whereas in this one, like Robotnik's always in a different machine. Yeah. And like, I mean, I think I'm almost through the game right now. He like, there's one, I just finished one where he's in like a submarine, like in oil, and he keeps like shooting a laser at you, and then he pops up, and that's when you have to jump on him. Yeah. But then there's other ones where like you have to hit him from underneath. Yeah. And there's one where he's got drill arms. Yeah. And when his drill arms are up, you can't hurt him. But then when he puts them down, you can jump on his head while he charges at you and stuff like that. And yeah, it's very like, they're not boring fights. No. You know what I mean? Like, I like that a lot, actually. And I like that they didn't invent other bad guys. I like just fighting Robotnik over and over. Like I've always, I mean, I love the Koopa kids, but I like it when it like they really play up the Sonic Robotnik.
Yeah, these like you get to feel that like Sonic is like coming after this guy, and he's just like he's always got an escape plan to like his next. It's kind of similar to like the princess is in another castle.
Yeah.
Right. But he's like, oh no, you beat me at this. Don't worry, I have bigger, badder things. Right. Like He's almost like trying to use the least amount of energy as he can.
Hence why he's so fat.
To beat Sonic.
Yeah.
Whereas like he's got like a backup plan after backup plan after backup plan. Right?
Yeah. I like it. I like him. For like I said, there's a lot of pros to this game, man. It's just there's certain things that fucking chap my ass. Okay, and so now before I get into those Chaos Emeralds, because I want to ask you about that, because I don't completely understand that. I have to rant for a minute.
Tails?
I hate Tails. I fucking hate him. I fucking hate him. Are you like? Do you like him?
I don't like him in the single player. He does get in the way.
Oh, he's fucking useless.
He gets in the way a lot. But in the because you can do the heads up versus on levels, which is fun. I actually like playing Tails because then you can do like the fly thing.
Oh, okay, Tails, right? So when you play 2-player, as I've seen, like I've never played it 2-player, but I've seen like he's go split screen.
Yeah.
And then is it like a race to the end, or is it who gets more rings?
I believe it's a race.
Okay.
Right.
So then Tails can actually float or fly. Like when you're controlling him. So then, like, what advantage does Sonic have, or is he faster?
He's not as fast as Sonic.
Okay, so that's Sonic's advantage then. Mm-hmm. Okay, so like,
and then you can play 2-player co-op.
Right.
So it's kind of like what other game is that? Like, if you play like Final Fantasy with 2 players, like you can control these guys. I chose that you can control these guys. It's kind of like that. Like Sonic goes wherever he wants, so everything follows Sonic. But then, like, you can use Tails, so Sonic can jump up while Tails is flying, and then you can fly.
Right, and he can, like, carry him. Right.
So, like, there are benefits to playing with someone in Tails.
Okay.
As opposed to just playing by yourself.
With the AI.
Which makes him a lot better.
Okay. I could believe that, yeah. Because, like, listen, like, 1992, the AI wasn't where it is now, right? And, like, and especially, I mean, even in current video games.
And I don't even think in 1-player you can jump into his arms.
I've never done it. So if you can, I have no idea how. Like, it's, all I know is, like, playing it alone, he just keeps getting in the fucking way, and he sets off platforms and shit before I'm ready to fucking land on the platforms, and he just dies, and then he'll come floating in because he's dead, and fucking, and I'm like, why are you even here? Like, fuck off, just go away. Like, to me, he came across as like, they were like, well, the other guys have 2-player games where everyone's little brother can play. Yeah. So let's throw a character.
Basically, this is what they did.
Let's throw a character in that the little brother can play as.
Yeah.
But I mean they put that split screen in and made it competitive is actually pretty rad. Like they didn't just half-ass a character in that the second player could hold the controller and do nothing. They're like, hey, if he wants to play, he can actually play. I think it would have been a cool thing if you could have, like, when you start the game, if you're playing 1-player, if you could pick which character you want to be.
Oh, that would be neat.
You know what I mean? Like, if you could play a Sonic game or a Tails game.
Something you might want to try is plug in your second controller and just see.
Yeah.
And just run.
Like, boy, I'm going to feel like, listen, like, oh God, there's going to be like diehard Sega fans out there that are be like, you can play Sega. But like, I
don't think that you can, but it would be pretty neat.
Like the way I look at it is like, if I bought the game by myself and I put in my Sega, turn it on, when you pick 1-player, if you could just pick like Sonic or Tails.
I think in some of the options you might be able to do that.
Oh, I wonder.
When you go in, like right at the start menu.
Oh, I'll be goddamned. At the game start, the player can select to play as Sonic, Tails, or both.
Both, yeah.
The difference between the two is purely cosmetic. Okay, well, sorry, I'll shut the fuck. So I hope everybody made it through that because I ranted about it. But it, okay.
The options in there too, some of them are pretty neat. I remember there was something you could do, like the hidden codes or whatever were in like the music files.
Right.
So you go like, go check this one out, and then this one, and then this one, and it would unlock things. So like you like level select, and so like kind of things that you could do after you've beaten the game, or like instead of like like the warp whistles and shit, like you could go in and go to whatever level you want.
Right.
Before.
Oh, I see. Okay. Right? Like it almost, yeah.
But it was a cheat code, right?
Right.
And then there's one where like you could be Super Sonic, which is like Super Saiyan Sonic.
Right. Okay, so let's get into that for a minute, because like I read the Sonic comic books, I watched the cartoon, like I know the lore of Sonic and everything, but like so you can go into these bonus worlds in this game. Yeah. And it's when you hit a checkpoint and you have a certain amount of rings, then like a little like portal opens up and you can jump into it.
I thought it was like there was like there's all these like bonus things at the end. So like the end thing's got that like whatever
Oh, that like spinning sign?
If you jump at a certain point, you'll get all these bonus things and you can go into them.
Oh. That might be one of the other ones. Maybe it's this one. All I found in this one is that like, I'm reading about it right here. When a player collects 50 rings and passes a checkpoint, they can warp to a special stage, and that's where the camera's behind you, and you're running through those like tubes.
Yeah, and some of them are like, maybe it's a different one, but they had like a ball.
Yeah. I know which ones you're thinking of. I think that's a different game.
Yeah,
where you can like spin the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these ones, I think
the half pipe ones though.
I think they look dope.
Yeah,
like where the camera's behind Sonic and Tails, and they're running through, and you're trying to collect rings and avoid like the bombs and stuff. And you have to get like it starts out where it says like get 40 rings, and you have to get to the next checkpoint with at least 40 rings. And you have to get 70 and then 100 or whatever. And if you get enough, you get a Chaos Emerald. Now I've only ever gotten one Chaos Emerald because fucking Tails keeps collecting like 8 rings, and I'm like, oh sweet, I've got enough. And then I was gonna blame him because then he'll hit one of those bombs and loses 8 rings, and then I don't have enough.
Yeah.
And I was gonna be like, I literally was just about to rant about how he fucks me over in these bonus stages, but looking at the image on my computer, I realized he's always behind Sonic, so he's only picking up ones I missed anyway. Yeah, so it's not like he's fucking me.
Then he's hitting bombs that you like just narrowly avoid.
Right, yeah, because he just follows me. I still hate him, but yeah, it's not his fault that I can't beat them. So if you get all the Chaos Emeralds, it says here, when all emeralds have been collected, he can turn into Super Sonic. So then when you're Super Sonic, he's just like a more powerful Sonic?
Yeah, he's just like, he almost like floats.
Okay.
Right? It's not that he flies or anything, but like he just goes like real fast.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like he's almost always like in a spin thing, but he's like standing up.
Right. And it says here that it burns rings?
Yeah.
Okay, so like as you have them. So is it like it must be optional? Like you don't have to collect all of them to beat the game with it, right? You just can.
And I think on the later stages too, you just turn into Super Sonic anyways.
Yeah, you know what? Because I've gotten to the end of this game.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever beaten the final Robotnik, but I've gotten to the end. And yeah, I want to say that you're like
in the airplane.
You're in like a plane, and he just becomes Super Sonic to get to the plane because Tails is like flying a plane or something like that. So why can he fly, but he has to have a plane?
Just altitude, man.
Fuck him. No,
imagine how much like downforce you'd have to be pushing down at such a high altitude. Right?
Well,
his tails would go so fast.
If he didn't waste, if he didn't waste all his energy getting in the way, then he'd have enough energy to fly up there. I hate him. I hate Yoshi, and he's Sega's Yoshi. I fucking hate him. I hate him. So okay, so then I must assume there's got to be like different endings if you beat the game with all the Chaos Emeralds, or you don't, or something.
I don't think so.
No,
I think it's just like an optional. I don't think I think maybe once or twice.
Oh, okay.
I've collected all the Chaos Emeralds.
Oh, okay. It's well, I mean, it's like I don't know. It's a classic game. Like to me, it's like okay, because that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about too. That I just thought of this. Like I find it hard. And I don't know if that's because it is hard or if because I suck at Sonic.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit of both. I don't know. But these old school games, like, I feel like some of these, I mean, the NES in particular was like notorious for having like
impossible
video games, right? And I feel like sometimes it's bad mechanics or bad design. Yeah. Sometimes it's a way to stretch out the length of the game.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's a little bit of both. And I think this game, like, I really do think the Chaos Emerald thing is a clever way to give it replay.
I mean, and then you're always trying, right? And sometimes you miss one.
Yeah,
You're like, no. Yeah. So then you're trying to beat like, because you can do like multiple Chaos runs in like per like set of levels.
Yeah,
right.
Dude,
so you have a chance to come back and do them again.
Because it keeps putting you into the same one you're in until you beat it. Yeah. Like I have been in that second one of my whole playthrough of this game. The first one I beat it the first try, and I was like, dope. The second one is like a pink and orange floor. And I'm getting within like 5 rings every time and not beating it. And then it drives me crazy because he runs to the end of the pipe and the emerald is right there. But then for some reason he's like, I can't. He's like, I didn't get enough.
Let him. Like, you don't have any power rings.
Right? I feel like him being the good guy, it's like the otter system. And he's like, oh no, I can't. I'm not. I don't have enough. Well, I can't take that.
It'd be like, you know how like if you don't have enough magic to use an item in like say like Diablo or something, then these power rings are the things that allow you to grab it or they like amplify your power.
Right, yeah.
So you're like, oh no, I can't do it. I'm so close.
That makes sense.
Or like picking up Thor's hammer, like if you're not like
the
worthy.
Chaos Emeralds are the Sega Thor's hammer. dude, I don't know. Like the replayability, like you already pointed it out. Maybe we're repeating ourselves, but like the exploration to me is what really, like, playing through this game as someone that didn't grow up with it. I remember playing it a couple times, but I never had the attachment to it. The exploration really stood out to me.
Yeah.
Like, as someone that's a diehard Mario guy, like, I know all those games like the back of my hand. And Mario 3, to its credit, and Super Mario World have some exploration to them, but nothing in the sense of like each level is so big. Like, there's so much, dude. And like you'll fucking jump on like a spring thing that'll shoot you across the level, and you'll see like an extra life and like a horde of like the Ring TVs.
Yeah,
and
I'm
like,
how do you even get there?
Yeah, and you're like, how the fuck do you get there? But there's got to be a way, and it makes you want to go back and just explore. And I love that there's no time limit.
Yeah,
I don't think there is. It keeps track of your time, but it counts up. So I don't know if it ever times out. I've never run into that. If it does,
it might.
Like,
it might be like, you know, in like any of the Mario games, you have 300 seconds.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Maybe if it gets... Like, I've never run out of time playing it.
And some of the levels are long, too.
Dude,
right?
some of them are long, yeah.
Right? So I don't think there is. I think it's basically just like... that's another way you can replay things, right? Like, that's why the 2-player versus is that way.
Yeah.
Right? So you could be like, who can finish this level the fastest? Right? Like, rings be damned, right? You're trying to just... It turns into a racing game all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they did it, dude. And I honestly didn't realize I could play as Tails until halfway through this podcast. When I was reading it, I was like, oh, shit. Not that I want to, because I hate them, but the option's there.
Give him a shot.
I will give him a shot now, just to see... like, I'm impressed. I'm like, dude, this is a good game. Like, because this wasn't a pack-in. Like, Sonic the Hedgehog was a pack-in with the Sega Genesis, but Sonic...
I think this is the one that kind of turned the Genesis around when it became part of a buy feature.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
So, like, you got this with it, and then, like, everyone that I knew that had this, man, we played it so much.
Right.
And it was like the Mario of its...
Yeah. And like sitting here playing it, for certain aspects of it, chapped my ass. Like I said, the slowing under the water, and this has always been my beef with Sonic. At times, I just get frustrated because I want to run fast, but then I run into a wall, or I fucking run into spikes, or a bad guy that I just couldn't see, and then he fucking hits me, and then it slows me right down again, and I'm like, fuck, I just want to run fast. You know what I mean? Like, but to me, it screams that a practice makes perfect game, and the more you play it, the more you know where to go and what.
And like you'll realize that there's like. You'll be coming up on coming down a hill, and you got to jump like right at the bottom.
Yeah.
You'll hit like 3 bad guys, and then you'll hit that TV like ring box.
Right.
And then underneath there'll be like a little platform that'll spring you up to something else.
Yeah.
And like, so the more you explore, the more you kind of do some things and get the hang of it.
Yeah.
The more you're used to being like at the top of the level.
Right.
And usually the top levels where all the awesome shit is.
Right. Yeah, and I will say, like, even I've had moments playing it where I don't know the worlds that well. Like, when you are going fast, but you know what to do, and you're like running through the loop-to-loops, and then like the sideways loops, and like you said, those cages, and then you spring, and then you fucking run again, and you start to feel pretty badass. You're like, dude, this is pretty fucking cool when he gets going at like top speed, and you're not fucking it up. It's pretty.
There's like even just doing some of those loop-to-loop shit. Like there's ones where you like, I think especially in the city level, where you hit it and you like watch him like 360 pipe or whatever, and you're like, they put this in here, like you can't really stop in that area to really admire it,
right?
But like you go through and they're like adding all these like little tiny things that you keep noticing that just make the game visually striking.
And to me that's the single biggest, and I'm not a graphics guy at all. Like, give me an 8-bit game that's fun to play over like a current PS4 game or whatever. But I adore the 16-bit era of gaming. Like, I still think it's the pinnacle of gaming, and I think these games, like playing this game, I've been absolutely mesmerized. I'm like, this game looks phenomenal, you know. And this, you're right. Like Sega, like the original Sonic the Hedgehog was what it was. I really feel like Sonic 2 is when Sega was like, hey, we have an IP that maybe could compete. You know what I mean? Like, this has to be our IP. Like,
and they put a lot into it.
They sure did, and they deserve a lot of credit. Like, this game belongs in like the gaming hall of fame. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is. It's I'm very impressed. Like, it's the Sega's flagship title. I've read so many lists ranking the games on the Sega Genesis Mini or the best Sega Genesis games of all time and stuff. And if this game's not number 1, it's top 3 every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Like, it's great.
It was probably one of the best all-around games to have ever been made, for sure.
Oh, totally, yeah. you know, and to Sega's credit, like, and this is something that I've talked about when we talked about the Sega Genesis Mini, but like, I think when most people think of the Sega Genesis, particularly like I didn't grow up with it, I don't have attachment. I think of sports games, I think of the Disney games, and I think of Sonic. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, this is like I don't think of a ton of great platformers for the Sega Genesis or things like that, right? But like this game to me, I don't think it's as good as Mario because I prefer Mario's play style. Yeah. But I'm like, this game can stand toe to toe with it. It just does certain things better and certain things worse. Yeah. It's just gorgeous. It's fun to play. Even when I'm dying, I'm still like, dude, this is still fun. Like I want to play it again. Yeah. I find it challenging.
It gets addicting.
It is, right? Like you want to see how many rings can I get or how fast
I can go. You know? Yeah, it's just
the Chaos Emerald. Now I want to go back through and like I'll play through this game a few times because I really want to try to get all the Chaos Emeralds. Like I want to see now. I want the ability to turn into Supersonic. Is there Super Tails?
I don't think so.
Probably not because he sucks.
If you do a Tails only run and get all the Chaos Emeralds.
Oh, fuck. I'll just turn the game off. Like, I'm not giving you the satisfaction, you fucking rodent. I hate them. Oh, man. It's good stuff. And then the fact that you can play it as Knuckles is nuts, you know? And like, oh, yeah, so they didn't put the Sonic and Knuckles game in this thing, or Sonic 3. My understanding is that Sonic 3, there's something to do with the music, where like Michael Jackson composed some of it or something. So it's like a big licensing thing. But it would have been cool if they had put the Knuckles add-on into this one, but whatever, that's fine. Someone's gonna hack this thing and then you'll be able to play it. Is it any good as Knuckles? Like, have you played it?
Yeah. It adds like a whole new level, right? Of gameplay.
I would think the exploration plays perfect to him.
You can like jump and like climb walls and stuff, right?
Right.
Knuckles.
And he glides, too, right? Yeah. It's almost like they combined Sonic and Tails to fucking make him into Knuckles. I always thought Knuckles was the coolest one.
Yeah, I've always been a fan. Like as soon as I could get that.
Right? Yeah. He just looks rad. Like I love his hands, those fucking giant mittens with the spikes sticking out of them.
So he can climb those walls.
Yeah. It's just like but like I remember reading the comic books and stuff. Like he's a good guy, and like I thought he would have been a cool like anti-hero.
But he's kind of, I guess.
I don't know. To me, like Shadow became more of like an anti-hero. Shadow sucks. What the fuck is Shadow? Like, what the fuck? You took Sonic. You're like, let's give him rollerblades and guns, and we'll make Shadow. Get the fuck out of here, Sega. Sonic was fine. Don't fuck around.
He just like, I don't know. I don't know a whole lot of the lore, but I know like playing a lot of the games growing up. Shadow was kind of cool, especially when they started doing like instead of like side like as a side scroller running game is like the front like almost lane or whatever.
Yeah.
Once you did that, and you could like shoot things out of your way.
Yeah,
it was kind of neat.
Yeah, Sonic, man, he did not transition into 3D very well. But I just feel like these game mechanics just lend themselves to 2D so much better. Yeah, just run left to right, jump fast, run fast. All right, well, I don't know. You good? That was a good podcast. You want to? So on out of 1 to 100 golden rings, how many rings would you give Sonic the Hedgehog 2?
I would give it 95.
95 rings. Yeah, that's pretty good rings. I'll give it a. Fuck, I'm so torn because I know some people love this game, and I'm like, it's fine. I don't know. I'll give it 80 rings. It would have had 85, but Tails costed 5 rings because he picked them up and then ran into a bomb in a bonus level like a useless shit that he is.
And then cost you a Chaos Emerald.
I hate him. Good stuff, dude. Thanks for doing this. That was good.
No problem, man. Thank you.
That's going to do it for this week's episode. Miklos, thank you so much for coming by and talking a little more Sega Genesis with me. And to all of you, thank you so much for listening. Again, as I mentioned off the top, I know there were some things I got wrong. I think I addressed them all before the end of the show. If there's something else I got wrong, now you can feel free to yell at me. It's at Member the Game on Facebook or on Twitter and Instagram, or Remember the Game on Facebook. Go ahead. fucking yell at me. It's fine. We're going to show more Sega love in the coming weeks. That said, next week it will not be a Sega game. I think I've got a game in mind. We'll go back to that. We got some killer, I don't want to spoil everything, but we've got some killer episodes coming up, going into like episode 80 or so, because I think I've got a dozen or so in the bank right now. Numbers are still going up. I'm so excited. If you guys are enjoying it, please follow us on social media. Please leave us a good review. And most importantly, please consider our Patreon. We're only asking for $2. I give away a prize every month. I'll give you a shout out on the show. You're going to get bonus episodes of the podcast, including a review of the Link's Awakening remake. That'll be coming out in a couple weeks. That's going to do it. That'll do it for this week. You guys have listened to me ramble enough. Go play some video games. It's beautiful outside. It's fall. It's a good time of year. Unless you live in southern Alberta, then you're snowed in. And if you're snowed in, then you got nothing better to do but play video games and listen to this show anyway. And I'll be back in 7 days with episode 67 of Remember the Game. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for listening. I'll see you later. Cheers.